that's happening in this country. We are officially entering into uncharted waters, uncharted territory. Whether you see it or not, it's happening. And I'm going to tell you how. The New York Attorney General being prosecuted right now tells me that it's open season for politicians to dig up anything and everything they can on you and make it public. See, before it wasn't like that, all right? Because they all doing some dirt behind the scenes. But how can you throw a stone if you living in a glass, if you not living in a glass house? You understand? I feel like these guys are going to start cleaning up themselves, damn near. And that's the positive. That would be the best case scenario, right? Every time the Democrats get in office, they start prosecuting Republicans. Every time the Republicans get in office, because at first I used to think that might be a bad thing. Actually, it could be a very bad thing. There's two sides of the coin, as a matter of fact. All right? There's two sides of the coin. I'm going to give you the good scenario first. Okay? Good scenario is this. First of all, good scenario is the Democrats get into power. No, now that the Republicans are in power, they going after anything and everything, cleaning whatever they did in the past. That's good for us because she's not above the law. Letitia James isn't above the law. So she can't get away with that. Neither should none of them get away with that. They wasn't listening to it when we was the ones saying it. But now that they are so like angry with each other and the cat's out the bag, because, this really all started with Trump. This really started when they was prosecuting Trump and they felt like it was really politically motivated. Trump felt that way, and now he has a hit list, And so the good thing about that is, whether, I don't care what the motives are, just clean it up. You feel what I'm saying? Like, it don't even matter what the motive necessarily is. Just clean it up. So if your motive is revenge, I don't care. Why should I care? As long as we making sure that these people in authority are being held accountable and responsible for any crimes that they commit. And I think the overall benefit of that, if it swings in the right direction, would be a good thing. But there's another side to the coin, right? First of all, before we even get into that, let's talk about what this woman is even charged for, what's really going on, all right? So the New York Attorney General, Letitia James, is being charged with mortgage fraud, pretty much, all right? So fraud, mortgage fraud, it's something that people do all the time, as a matter of fact, believe it or not, right? You get certain tax benefits and tax breaks for first-time home buyers. If it's a second-time home buyer, like, they give you breaks if they know that you're going to live in whatever property that you're trying to buy, right? So what some people do is they get a primary resident, and then on their second house, they rent that out, right? That's what they usually do. But that's what they usually apply to do. But really what they do is they rent that house out, but they bought it with the tax credits that was given to them, right? So like, maybe you don't have to put down 20% for the down payment. Maybe you only need to put down 10% if you tell the bank that you're the one that's going to live there. But if you tell the bank that this is going to be for making money off of, if you tell the bank, yo, we're doing this because we're trying to profit, the bank is going to hit you with the maximum, because you don't need a benefit, you don't need a tax break, because you're about to get a bunch of money, right? But people, get around that because it's just like, who's gonna check, right? It's like who's really gonna check to see if that person's actually living there or not, unless you made beef with people in high places, which she did. You understand? Trump is looking at everybody and anybody who did him wrong when he was being prosecuted. All right. Everybody that was in the Biden administration, anybody that ever looked at him wrong, sneezed at him wrong, said anything, he's going after them. So people look back and they're like, hold on a second. That house she bought in Virginia in 2020, it looked like it got some tenants in there. That's not her primary residence. So then they brought that up, and now they got her indicted. So boom, now that we know where all of this is coming from, let me break down to you the bad side of the coin, right? I explained to you the good side. These guys are going at each other's throats, which is good for us. You know what I mean? Like I said, it doesn't matter what the motivation is, as long as you cleaning up. I guess that was cleaning up the swamp. I guess that's technically cleaning up the swamp. The swamp is self-cleaning if they beefing with each other and they making sure that anything and everything they ever did in the past comes to light, which means they got to keep themselves clean in order for them to actually be able to get through with, like for example, like this is a perfect example. The AG of New York can't prosecute Donald Trump and be like, you did X, Y, and Z. Meanwhile, she's over here committing fraud. So they're going to make sure that they vet these people as much as possible when they get into these places. You understand? Because now you got to have a squeaky clean record, right? So that's the good side. That's the good side of it, right? Now, here comes the bad side. This is where things get a little bit shaky, okay? The negative side of that is a stubborn politician who has a sort of police force behind him that refuses to not be arrested, right? Now, this is where I'm going with this, right? Everybody in this country doesn't have an option, doesn't have a choice whether or not they can be arrested or not, okay? If the police, if the government deems that you need to be arrested, taken into custody, have your freedoms restricted, you can't stop that unless you have an army behind you, right? Unless you have a police force, unless you have something with a bunch of people with guns as well to be like, no, we're not doing that. All right. So like, let's say, for example, I don't know, this is a wild scenario. And this is why I say overall it'd be a good thing, because I don't necessarily think this would happen. But the only way like something could go astray, could go wrong, is if, like, let's say you trying to prosecute the mayor, you know what I mean, of a town, and everybody in the town feels like, yo, nah, he shouldn't be prosecuted. Or like somebody that's like, yo, nah, I'm gonna have the state police make sure to keep me protected when the FBI comes to lock me up. So if that would have ever happened, that would be crazy. But I think it's within their own rules that they gotta follow. There's rules on that. I think when the feds take over, the feds take over. So overall, this is a great thing. The swamp is gonna be self-cleaning. You understand? Because I don't see that happening. I don't see like somebody like the mayor of New York being like, nah, let's get all NYPD to barricade my house when the FBI shows up, or like whatever. Like, that's never gonna happen. You know what I mean? So I'm telling you, this is a good thing. This is a good thing. When the Democrats get in office, they better go after anything and everything on the opposite side. Any bad thing that's been going on with the people that's running the administration right now, they better go after it like crazy. And then it's going to be vice versa, vice versa, vice versa. I never seen this outcome. I'm not going to lie to you. I on my life, like, I thought everything about this would have been bad, because I even used to say it. I used to be like, yo, y'all are prosecuting Trump, but then when y'all get into office, they're going to prosecute you. And I'm just like, wait, why would that? Like, for some reason, I don't know why, like, I automatically process that as being a bad thing. You know what I mean? That's not a bad thing, as long as the worst case scenario doesn't happen, which seems so out of bounds. I could never see that happening. Like, it would have to be something crazy, you know? So, yo, the swamp is self-cleaning. So she's about to get charged. She's probably not going to do any jail time, but she's probably going to have to resign. You know, she's going to, like, it's over for her politically. You know what I mean? Like, it's not even really about getting her in jail. It's really about the mud on the name, you know, like, you know, just exposing stuff that we've never been privy to. You know what I mean? Like, we would never know that she was committing mortgage fraud. You know what I mean? But the feds know, and there's a bunch of them that are doing shit. Like, isn't Nancy, I heard, well, there's a bunch of people doing insider trading. Bro, they taking advantage of their positions in more ways than one. They passing laws to boost up their benefits. I'm not even gonna say bank accounts, because I don't know exactly how it connects, but I know for a fact that they do things behind the scenes that benefit certain companies that they already invested in, A, and then B, even if they're not doing that, they're using the fact that they in a position to where people won't necessarily go after them because they're the AG of New York. Like they're not doing that. I largely agree, but things can escalate very fast when each side is prosecuting each other. It can escalate, but think about, and I thank you for tapping in, but just think about, my brain goes to the worst case scenario. And when I think about the worst case scenario, I don't like I don't necessarily see that ever happening. I feel like things can go, unless you maybe, but I don't like, maybe there's something else that could be like bad. But I just look at it as like everybody being on their P's and Q's. You know what I mean? Like, but then again, I've witnessed things from this administration. Like, it always gets worse and worse and worse as time goes on. But I don't know. But I appreciate you telling me that, man. Things can escalate, but I'm telling you, I feel like right now, everybody's trying to clear out all of the skeletons in their closet. They tried to be celebrities. This is their Me Too era. You know what I mean? Because we wouldn't be able to do it. It's not like we would be able to figure out that Shorty was running a mortgage fraud, mortgage scheme, or whatever. We wouldn't have known. So at the end of the day, let them go at each other's throats, because we the benefits of that. We are the ones that benefit from them going at each other's throat. It's almost like competition within business. Like, it's great when Walmart and Target are beefing it out, because they're slashing their prices, and we get the benefits. We reap the spoils. You know what I mean? Like, now we going in there. But if they hold a monopoly on the situation, if they, be like, okay, hey, you sell that soap for $3.99, I'ma sell it for $3.99. If you go lower, we both gonna go lower. So like that way nobody wins. You know what I mean? Like, so there's no more I'm hiding. I'm gonna not expose what's going on because I got dirt in my closet too. There's no more of that. They crashing out kamikaze style, and good. I think that's great, because they all doing shady stuff behind the scenes. A lot of them are really slithering, like these politicians, man. Anyways, I don't want to get into a politician rant, but that's what's going on with the New York Attorney General. I've been on here for 12 minutes and 30-something seconds. I think that's it for your boy, man. Yeah, no, that's it. I'm out of here. Yeah, I got mad stuff to do anyway. Y'all enjoy y'all Saturday. Breathe